If you're driving the M25 or any major UK motorway right now, there's a fine sitting somewhere in the system with your number plate on it, and you probably don't even know about the rule that triggered it. Hundreds of pounds. No police officer in sight. Just a camera, a gantry sign, and a letter that lands on your doormat 2 weeks later. Stick with me for the next few minutes, because the rules around Britain's busiest roads have shifted. Enforcement has gotten sharper, and the mistakes catching drivers out in 2026 are smaller and more boring than you'd think. Nobody's crashing into a wall here. They're doing 47 in a 40 zone they didn't notice changed, or sitting under a red X they assumed didn't apply to them. Let's get into exactly what's changed, what it'll cost you, and how to keep your money out of National Highway's pocket. Start with the smart motorway itself, because this is where most of the confusion lives. For years, there's been a running debate about whether converting the hard shoulder into a live traffic lane was ever a good idea. Following years of safety criticism, the rollout of brand new smart motorway sections with no permanent hard shoulder has effectively been halted. That sounds like good news, and in terms of future road building, it is. But here's the part that catches people out. The existing all-lane running sections on the M25, M1, M3, M6, and several other major routes haven't gone anywhere. They are still fully live, still fully legal, and still fully enforced. So if you've heard secondhand that smart motorways are being scrapped, and you're now driving the M25 assuming the left lane is some kind of emergency-only strip again, you are wrong, and that assumption can cost you. Unless there's a red X displayed above that lane, it is a live running lane, exactly like every other lane on the carriageway. Treat it as anything else, and you're not just risking a fine, you're risking your life and everyone else's around you. Which brings us to the red X itself, because this is one of the most quietly expensive mistakes on UK motorways right now. A red X above a lane means stop using it immediately, not slow down, not merge when convenient. Get out of that lane. The cameras watching these signs are automatic. They don't need a police officer to flag you, and they don't care whether you didn't see it in time. Ignore a red X, and you're looking at a fine plus 3 penalty points, the same penalty band as ordinary speeding, issued without a single human reviewing the footage before the notice goes out. And because these systems are tied directly into the gantry network, the data shows that drivers who'd normally never get a ticket in their lives are the ones getting caught, simply because they treated a red X the way they used to treat a closed hard shoulder. Don't. Now, the safety side of this isn't being ignored either. One genuine improvement worth knowing about is what's happening with emergency refuge areas, those little laybys built into smart motorway sections for breakdowns. The spacing between them used to average around 1.5 miles, which, if you've ever broken down in a live lane with traffic doing 70 miles per hour past your window, you'll know feels like an eternity. Those refuge areas are now being supplemented with additional stopping points, so the gaps are shrinking. That's not a fine-related change, it's a safety one, but it matters if you're planning a long motorway journey and want to know your options if something goes wrong with the car. Let's talk money, because this is the part everyone actually wants. Average speed cameras are expanding fast across trunk roads and motorway roadworks, and the M25 has some of the busiest, longest-running roadworks in the country. Here's the trap. These systems don't just clock you at one point, they calculate your average speed across a whole stretch, sometimes several miles long. You can ease off the second you spot a camera, and it won't help you, because the system already has your entry time from a mile back. Drivers are routinely caught doing just a handful of miles over the limit through these zones, and because there's no flashing camera or visible patrol car, plenty of them have no idea anything happened until the notice arrives. The minimum penalty is £100 and 3 points, but if you're caught well over the limit, you're not getting a fixed penalty notice, you're getting a court summons, and fines in court are calculated as a percentage of your weekly income, with no upper limit on the worst offenses. That £100 figure is the floor, not the ceiling. On top of that, the variable speed limit signs on these gantries are legally binding the second they're displayed, and this trips up more people than you'd expect. The limit that applies to you is whatever was showing on the gantry the moment you passed under it, full stop. It doesn't matter if the limit a quarter mile ahead has already gone back up to 70, or if it was 70 behind you 30 seconds ago. If the sign above your head says 50 when you pass it, 50 is the law for you at that exact point, and the cameras enforcing it are synced to that same sign in real time. People assume there's some flexibility built in because the limit is variable. There isn't. Variable just means it can change quickly, not that it's optional. Mobile phones are another area where enforcement has quietly become far more aggressive. There's now a growing network of AI-powered detection cameras mounted above the road specifically to spot drivers holding or using a phone. And these systems operate without a person checking the footage before a notice goes out. Get caught, and you're facing 200 pounds and 6 penalty points, which on its own is enough to push a driver who already has points on their license into a totting-up ban. And if you passed your test in the last 2 years, 6 points isn't a warning. It's an automatic revocation of your license. No exceptions for circumstances. Here's the bit almost nobody mentions. The same overhead camera setup checking for phone use is also checking seatbelt compliance at the same time, from the same pass underneath it. So in theory, one moment of distraction can generate 2 separate fines from a single camera in a single instant. That's not theoretical scaremongering, that's literally how the hardware works. Speaking of seatbelts, that's tightening up too. At the moment, not wearing one can land you a fine, and there's a live proposal on the table to add 3 penalty points on top of that fine for both drivers and passengers caught unbuckled. It hasn't fully landed everywhere yet, but the direction is obvious, and if you're someone who treats the seatbelt click as optional for a quick motorway hop, that's a habit worth breaking now, rather than after the points start applying. There's also a quieter shift happening inside the cars themselves. New cars sold from this point in 2026 onward need to come fitted with intelligent speed assistance, technology that reads the speed limit using GPS and sign recognition cameras, and nudges you, sometimes quite firmly, the moment you go over it. You can switch it off, but it resets itself back on every time you start a new journey, so it's not a permanent workaround. It won't physically stop you from breaking the limit, it just makes it a lot harder to pretend you didn't notice. And then there's the conversation around drink driving limits, which hasn't been finalized but is worth knowing about if you're planning ahead. There's an ongoing discussion about pulling England and Wales's limit down to match Scotland's far stricter threshold, which would mean something as small as a single pint could tip you over, depending on your size and how recently you'd eaten. Nothing's confirmed yet, but it's the kind of change that tends to arrive with very little warning once it's signed off, so don't bank on the current limit sticking around forever. So what does all of this actually mean for you if you're regularly on the M25 or any of the other major motorways? It means the obvious dangerous stuff isn't where the real financial risk is anymore. It's the small things. A red X you assumed was optional. A gantry limit you thought had already changed back. A phone glance at a red light that a camera caught from above. A speed average through roadworks that crept up without you noticing, because nobody was flashing a camera at you in the moment. None of these require bad driving. They require a moment of assumption, and assumption is exactly what the new generation of automatic enforcement is built to catch. The fix is genuinely simple and costs you nothing. Treat every lane on a smart motorway as live unless there's a red X telling you otherwise. Respect the number on the gantry above your head, not the one you remember from 30 seconds ago. Assume every long stretch of roadworks has an average speed system running, because increasingly it does. Keep the phone out of reach, not just out of your hand, because the cameras watching for it don't blink and don't give second chances. None of this is complicated. It's just a matter of knowing the rules have moved, because the roads certainly haven't slowed down to wait for you to catch up. If this kept you out of a fine you didn't know was coming, that's exactly why I make these videos. So do me a favor and hit subscribe to my channel before you go. Turn on notifications too, because these rules keep shifting, and I'll keep breaking down exactly what's changed and what it'll cost you if you don't know about it. Drop a comment if there's a rule you want me to dig into next. Give this video a like if it helped, and share it with anyone you know who drives the M25 regularly, because chances are they haven't heard half of this either. Stay safe out there, drive smart, and I'll see you in the next one. Subscribe to my channel, and I'll catch you on the next video.